Right, I wanted to show you guys one thing I got fixed. It was a bit of a pain. There's no stops on here, so it wouldn't open. But yeah, I got this thing freed up, and that's all. The hinges were just stuck, and I just heated them up, or I didn't heat them up, but I just grabbed them with a pair of pliers right here and squirted them with some of that penetrating oil, the Freol, really good stuff, and put it on there and grabbed it. As soon as I moved it just a little bit with that Freol in there, it just came loose, and now it's just like brand new. Works perfect. Did a little bit of cleaning here, got some of the metal cleaned up. I'm going to get it all off of here, and then I have some other things to get down in the corners and stuff. I got one of those finger belt sanders. Got this off of Amazon a while back. It's kind of cool for getting in these corners and stuff like that. And some of these areas here where you can't get anything in there. All I'm going to do is just get it removed to a point where it's like this. And then I'll just OSFO this whole area. And then because I'm going to sand that, again, I use the OSFO. I use these two products here. I use this OSFO for something I'm going to sand off and paint, something that I'm going to underneath the car or something like that where I'm not going to put automotive paint over it. Then I'll use this product to neutralize the rust and then just go paint over that. And either way, it's going to last a long time. It lasts many, many years doing it this way. It's just sometimes it's easier for some people to sandblast. You can take the whole car and take the shell in, have it sandblasted. Guys in Florida, probably not the best thing to do. By the time you go get it sandblasted and you bring it back home, it's usually rained or it's wet or it's the heavy moisture in the air. You're already going to have rust on it, so you're probably going to have to OSFO it anyway. So doing it in sections probably over there, places like that, it's probably easier. Or in some of the areas like Michigan in the summer, it's real high humidity, Texas or whatever. It just depends on where you live. Here where I live, I could do it either way. I could go and have it walnut shell blasted, which is probably the best media, and then go and epoxy prime everything. But I kind of like to do my metal work first and then do my filler and then epoxy prime. I don't like to epoxy prime and then have to remove it and do filler. Or put filler over epoxy primer. It has to be sanded anyway, really sanded good, and it doesn't stick, I don't think, as good as it does to metal. Most of the fillers say that they want to be on metal, so it's better to me to go over, put the filler on the metal. It can be done the other way if you have the proper filler for it, but you really need to read the labels on everything. Read the label on the filler, make sure it says epoxy primer, adheres to epoxy primer, because some of them don't say that and people put it over it. And that's when they're going to have problems. So still got this rust hole to deal with. It's a hole right here. It's a really thin along here. So I'm going to do that one. I'm going to do a cut in the butt on. So we'll cut a piece out, lay it on top, and then cut through two layers, or cut through and replace the new metal with the old, or the old metal with the new. And then down here, I got to open that up and see what kind of worms is down here. And these are kind of hard to work on. A lot of people think, they watch me weld and they go, man, your welding doesn't look like this other guy's. Well, he's welding a fender that's on a on a stand. Try welding down here when you can't see, down here low or somewhere weird where I'm welding. Then you'll kind of get it. And that's where it's always a little different. Every repair is in a different area. If it's on a rotisserie, that's different too. You can usually do a better job of some of this stuff, but there's just not enough here for me to do that. I don't think this thing's worth the time of putting it on a rotisserie. I have to build one because I don't have one, because I don't normally use one unless if it was something really bad, then I would, was trying to do a really perfect restoration, then it would probably be a better idea. But for this, it really wouldn't be enough to save me the time that it would to put it on it or make one or all that stuff. So we're just going to do it on the ground. I think that's probably the easiest way, but then I end up with some problems like that. All right, we're getting kind of dark here, and I want to get this coat of primer on here to start working on the Ghia back again. So I got the epoxy primer on here. It's a very thin coat, it doesn't need that much, just an adhesion coat. And then we're going to go right into our non-DTM high build primer. So it's a pretty high build stuff. It's by Chameleon. So anyway, I'm not going to be showing the label on it. I've never used it before, but I know that Chameleon makes good stuff. They make good clear, so they probably make good primer. I've never used a primer. We will find out later, and I'll start talking about that possibly in the future, but not right now. Well, I gotta tell you guys, that's pretty high build stuff there. So it's really like spraying polyester stuff. Really, you can't get a run in this stuff. You can just fatty it and it just holds on there, because it's going over epoxy. I think my theory was, and maybe I'm right, because like I said, Chameleon makes good products, and what they were trying to do is make a non-DTM, because they want you to spray it over epoxy, because then that you can put on a higher build and have it not have adhesion issues. So if it's on epoxy is really good adhesion, and then you've got a really high build over that's adhering directly to that epoxy, and it's kind of a system they make like that. So anyway, but man, it seemed to go on super thick. I put almost a little less than 1 full pot of epoxy primer, because you put it on real thin. Then I put on 2 full pots of 2.5 or something pots of this high build on here, because I want to be able to sand it and get all the little pits out and all that. And then of course I'm probably going to put another coat of primer over that once it's all ready, before I paint it. Before we get to that stage, there'll probably be some filler issues I have to take care of too. So I'll have some of that stuff. I'll have, few. It's not going to be just sand this down and paint it. It's going to be a lot more to it than that, just to get it ready. But at least now it's protected. The rust is dead. I did have to hand sand every little corner. I hand sanded every bit of that OSPO really good, so that it adheres really well. You want to make sure that stuff is, I don't know, I just don't feel comfortable with that stuff underneath my paint. So I just sanded it off to get, so that I was just down to where just the rust stuff was filled in. That corner is looking pretty good. It's got some issues. Gonna need another few touch-ups there, and straighten out the lines and blocking it. And the top, got some issues too, so that's gonna have to get blocked out really good, and then reprimed for sure. And then this thing here, I've still got to do underneath the dash. Still got to do the whole dash. It's going to be a bit of work. That's why I want to get this primer. I thought, it'll work. Probably looks like it'll work better than some others. And Tamco is really good too, but it'd be kind of expensive. I'll probably put 2 gallons or so, at least 2 gallons of primer on this thing. And their product, that's almost $400. So yeah, just for primer and paint. It's gonna have about primer, paint, and clear, something like that. It's not cheap when you do a really nice job. So anyway, I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Hopefully you enjoyed the big difference here in the front. All those little rust holes everywhere. That one down there I didn't get to film it. It's really hard to work on the bottom. Down there I was just, some of that didn't film a lot of it, because it was like I'm bent over trying to weld. Can't see very good. When you can't see, you can't weld. And when it's down low like that, it's just, as soon as I put my helmet on, I just can't see a damn thing. I have to just start sparking it, and they go, oh, I think I'm right here, and then guess, so Yeah, that's what happens when you do that. Make rust hole, make holes in it. That happens. Not everything's in the perfect light. Not everything's going to be perfect. I mean, I've got little lights I put in there sometimes. Sometimes I don't feel like getting up and getting them. So anyway, I do all that stuff, but sometimes I just don't feel like it. So anyway, I'll talk to you in the next one. Please like, share, and subscribe.